Therefore, um, the Committee on Social Justice, Welfare, and Rural Development public hearing with regard to a number of bills already announced earlier. And with that, we'd like to call on the committee secretary, please, to recognize and acknowledge our guests and resource persons, please. Thank you. Beth Agas, please.
Good afternoon, Senator, and good afternoon to everybody. For today's public hearing, we have the Commissioner on Human Rights, Attorney Claire De Leon, and Mr. Victor Joseph Obanil, as well as Attorney Krisha Sunico.
Who is Victor Obanil? Oh, there we go. Sa likod ka lang. Okay, salamat.
Okay. From the Department of Labor and Employment, we have Director Ama Carissa L. Satumba, their Dole Bureau of Workers with Special Concerns, as well as Ms. Jonalyn Kalipay.
Manyaring itaas ang kamay pag tinawag yung pangalan niyo pagkat hindi namin kayo nakikita. Can someone request the other room? It's very noisy.
Noisy yung other room. Paki-tone down.
Makisuyo lang. Okay, yes, please proceed.
Also from Dole, we have Ms. Jean Orsolino.
Okay. There's no one from the Civil Service Commission, is that correct?
Yes, nag-regrets po sila, Senator.
Yes, but
they
they sent a position paper, is that correct?
Yes po.
Yes, who is DLLS Orsolino? Ikaw yun. Sino yung Jonalyn Kalipay? Okay. Sige. Please proceed. DOJ, may tao rito.
Pag nasa likod po, pwedeng tumayo muna kayo pagka natawag po yung pangalan ninyo. DOJ, wala pa po silang pinadalang representative, as well as DOH. From the Philippine National Police, we have Police Colonel Cesar T. Magsino, their Human Rights Affairs, from the Human Rights Affairs Office. We also have Police Captain Norieciel Larines, as well as...
I'm sorry, you didn't call General Orig?
Larines.
Who's that? Larines. Yes. But their support staff, it's not... can we start with the primary group from PNP? Human Resource. Human Rights, it's Colonel Magsino, General Orig. Is that correct? Yes. Yeah.
Human Resource
Police Brigadier General Bernie H. Orig, their Executive Director, Executive Officer of the Human Resources Development Division.
Right.
We also have Police Captain Serge Florage and Police Major Binsky Foncardas, as well as Police Major Leo Angelo Casil.
Yes, can you
Recording
sit
in
up? Can
progress.
the officers please sit up? Pwede lapitan na lang ninyo. O, dito, pag may tanong para madali. Okay, salamat po. Meron pang General Ardiente.
Ardierte. Police General Arnold P. Ardierte and Police Colonel Beatrice Lising.
Harap, Colonel Lising, Colonel De La Cruz po.
And Police Colonel Roman De La Cruz Jr.
Can you just sit up? Yeah. Thank you.
From the Department of Interior and Local Government.
I'm sorry, there's no one from the AFP, is that correct?
Wala din po, Senator.
We need their position. It's important. Please relay to them together with the DOJ as well as the civil service. It's incumbent
Yes, Senator.
that they be represented and say their piece in some way. Thank you. Yes, you were calling the DILG.
Yes, Senator. We have Attorney Romeo P. Benitez, the Assistant Secretary for Legal and Legislative Affairs.
Okay. Yeah.
From the sa Department of Education, wala pa po, Senator.
Okay.
From TESDA,
Okay.
we have Director Catherine Amor A. Sarsadias, the Assistant Executive Director of the Planning Office.
Okay.
The National Commission on Indigenous People.
May dalawa pang nakalista rito. Mr. Brian Bathan, ay tatlo pala, Patricia Talplacido. Andito ba kayo?
Wala pa
Beverly
po yan,
Bayonista. Okay. Brian Bathan. Okay, andito. Yes. Please recognize everyone.
Yes. From the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, we have Attorney...
Teka muna, yung NCIP?
wala pa po,
Director,
Senator.
Okay.
Ay, nandito na.
Andito. Kaya nga nakita ko siya
Miss Jennifer Pia Sibuglas
That's
from the
correct.
National Commission on Indigenous People.
All right. That's fine. That's fine. National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, please. Attorney
We have
Manding.
Attorney... mali yung pangalan.
Attorney Manding, please. Andito po.
Attorney Ambayan B. Manding.
Wala. Yeah.
Correction, Senator, from the National Commission on Indigenous People, we have Director Catherine Gayagay Apaling.
Yeah. So it's not Jennifer Sibugla.
Hindi.
Yes, let's change the nameplate, please. Salamat. Okay, sumunod.
Sa
BIR.
BIR po, they are represented by Attorney Scraton Orculio
Okay.
from the Legal and Legislative Department.
DTI. Where's Mr. Lucero? Thank you.
From the Department of
Austria-
Trade.
Patricia Austria. Salamat. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Mr. John William
NCDA, Realet Ramos, Attorney
Yeah, from
Realet.
NCDA.
Thank you. And PCW, Miss Clehencia Aurora San Juan.
Asan?
Nasaan po? Okay, salamat. Okay, sumunod. NYC, Mr. James Ventura. Nasaan ka? Okay. And Riolin Namnama. Okay. Can you sit together, Riolin? Okay, Ched. Wala
From
pa
CHED,
dito.
Senator, we have Miss Jocelyn Balanag.
Yeah, you just arrived. Thank you.
Yes,
And
just arrived.
NEDA?
And Director Edna May Legaspi.
Okay. NEDA, please.
From the
Wala.
NEDA, regret sila, Senator.
Okay, that's fine. Rainbow Rights,
Rainbow.
Attorney LJ.
M. Bernardo.
Yes. Tuklas Katutubo.
Tuklas Katutubo,
Yeah.
Mr. Jason Roy Sibug.
Yeah, that's fine.
And Mr. Napoleon Paris.
Fine. The National Council of Churches,
We have Mr. Pio
Mijares.
Emmanuel Mijares.
Thank you. And UP Center for Women and Gender.
Yes, we have Miss Marie Aubrey Villaseran,
Right. Let's
Mr.
pick up the pace. Okay. Professor Batad. Thank you.
Batad, Evelyn Leo Batad, Miss Raina Reta Galut, and Miss Kathleen Shane Season.
Fine. Thank you. And Anti-Discrimination Alliance of Youth Leaders, Mr.
J.L. Gonzalez.
Thank you. And
Stop Discrimination Coalition, Miss Jean Cristobal,
Thank you.
and Mary Ginknell Tangente.
saan yun? Any chance you can sit together? Do you represent another group or magkapareho?
Senator, they are from the Philippine Advocacy and Partnership Office. Galang Philippines, Miss.
What group do you represent? The policy advocacy officer of?
Yes po, Galang Philippines.
Sorry?
Galang Philippines.
So, iba yung grupo ninyo?
We are a member of the Stop the Discrimination Coalition po, ma'am.
I see. Who is Judith 14? Yeah, I'd appreciate if you'd sit together because it's a little confusing and my eyes
It's
are
okay po.
poor.
All right,
Thank
thank you po.
All right, having recognized all the resource persons and guests, I'd like to introduce the agenda, and that will be the Comprehensive Anti-Discrimination Act of Senate Bills 108, 747, 1264, also Senate Bill 233, and Senate Bill 1300. We have today one of the authors, and that's Senator Robin Hood Padilla online. Robin, kung gusto mo magsalita at mag-opening statement, ngayon ang panahon.
Mabuhay. Magandang tanghali po sa inyong lahat, lalo na po sa aming idol, Senator Amy Marcos. At sa lahat po ng ating mga bisita ngayon. At ako po ay nananabik na madinig ang mga hinaing at mga paraan kung paano po natin talaga magagamot itong cancer ng diskriminasyon na tumatama po sa lalong-lalo na sa ating mga katutubo at sa mga usaping pangrelihiyon. At ako po'y umaasa sa pamamagitan po ng aming idol na si Senator Amy Marcos ay magkakaroon na po ng solusyon ang mga matatagal na po ng mga suliranin ng ating mga katutubo at ng ating mga mahihirap na kababayan. Maraming salamat po, aming idol. Muli po, magandang tanghali. Assalamualaikum.
Ay, maraming salamat at sana gumaling ka at wala yung seatmate ko. Ayun. Eto nga at nagbilin ang dalawang senador, si Senator Tulfo at saka yung majority leader natin, si Senator Villanueva, na ipasok sa ating transcript at sa records ng ating komite itong sponsorship and support statements nila hinggil sa ating comprehensive anti-discrimination bill. So I herewith submit to our committee secretary that these statements be inserted into the records as soon as possible. Let us now proceed with the public hearing. And with that, we can actually go quickly through this. We are all fully aware of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the International Convention on the Elimination of All Types of Racial and Other Discrimination, Presidential Decree 996, as well about the racial discrimination and the acts to be criminalized. Also, there's Presidential Decree 633, creating the National Commission on Women, PD 422, the Labor Code, which also prohibits discrimination on account of any individual's age and gender. The CEDAW law, already extensively discussed yesterday during a hearing on foreign relations. We also have signed as a nation the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. The 1987 Constitution is very clear-cut and provides equal protection for every Filipino. We also have RA 9710, the Magna Carta for Women. Today, we are going to handle the anti-discrimination bills to uphold the right to equality and prohibit discrimination on the basis of, and here you can probably comment, age, sex, civil status, color, economic status, ethnicity, medical condition, physical disability, political opinion or affiliation, race or religious belief. So, eto yung mga definition natin that narito at andito rin yung listahan ng mga kinakailangan parusahan bilang acts of discrimination. So here we have inflicting stigma, violent or sexual abuse, political, civil, and cultural rights, the right to education, denial of the right to work, denial of access to goods and services, denial to the right to organize, inflicting harm on health and well-being, profiling in all its forms, abuses by state and non-state actors, detention and consignment, inciting hatred or violence, denial of the right to expression, retaliation and coercion, the right against wrongful portrayal, and all analogous circumstances, that being the catch-all provision. So any person, juridical or natural, including government agencies or private corporations, who assists, authorizes, instructs, incites, performs, or promotes these discriminatory acts shall be liable. So the failure or refusal to act of a head of agency or government official shall be deemed prima facie evidence as sanctioning the discriminatory act. We can discuss that further. I think that's somewhat controversial. All right. So, perhaps we can hear from our different resource persons as to their opinion. Senator Padilla also diverges from both Senators Estrada, Villanueva, Poe, and myself with the addition of fines and exacerbating circumstances for subsequent violations. Sa palagay ko, okay ito. Kasi kung paulit-ulit na ginagawa, kinakailangan talaga mas mataas ang parusa. Kaya sang-ayon po ako kay Senator Robin, nakaligtaan natin to. Ang maidadagdag ko na lang dito sa mga parusa, kasi narito sa listahan ni Senator Padilla, ascendant, descendant, parent, guardian, step-parent, collateral relative. Pwede ba natin na idagdag pati kapatid? Kasi alam natin nangyayari naman po yan. So, idadagdag ko yung kapatid kung maaari. Okay ba, Senator Robin? Kasi marami rin nabubugbog dahil sa kapatid, di ba? Pagbunso, ayun naman. Okay. So, all right. We should first call on, therefore, the Commission on Human Rights being the primary person here involved. You express your support, is that correct?
Yes, Madam Chair.
You also emphasize the importance of Section 5I, prohibiting the conduct of medical or psychological tests.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Is that correct?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes, I understand that this refers, therefore, to conversion therapy.
Yes, po. Yes, Madam Chair. We also would like to note that the open-ended list provided for the protected attributes provided under the International Bill of Rights, that not all
Yes,
of these are...
I was going to get to
yes,
that. Let's go through this one by one. Okay, so it's conversion therapy to which we allude, no? Which has already been condemned by the UN High Commissioner and other groups. You also propose the inclusion of a provision that prohibits a person from disclosing their SOGI or any other information without their express consent. Is that correct?
Yes, Madam Chair.
And also the integration of the Yogyakarta principles.
Yes, Madam Chair.
So you want to include gender preference. Can you explain to us what gender preference is as opposed to gender identity?
Actually, Madam Chair, what we with regard to the Yogyakarta principles, what we particularly want to highlight is the inclusion of gender expression and sex characteristics. Yes, Madam Chair. The Yogyakarta principles, as to gender expression, it is it mainly, I think it's already included in the versions in the bills as well.
Yes, I think it's actually included
Yes,
in the
po.
bill, and this refers to personal sense of body and
Yes,
other
po.
expressions of gender, including dress, speech, and mannerism.
Yes, Madam
Yeah,
Chair.
so nandyan na siya.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Tapos, I think you recommend that DepEd also review their textbooks and reference materials, and I think this is in order. Certainly, the chair is in complete agreement with you. Also, that this should include children, so that their bodily and mental integrity, autonomy, and self-determination, and the prohibition against medical and psychological exams. Should this also apply to minors? Is this reasonable?
Madam Chair, from what we from our positions position paper, we want to highlight that some of the provisions of the bills may be we want to highlight that there's a need to protect the best interest of the child, particularly as to the right of the parents to make medical decisions.
Pero
yeah,
problema yan kasi talaga
Yes,
naman
Madam
sinasamahan ng magulang ang mas nakatatanda, ang bata, pag pupunta sa doktor.
Yes,
Paano
Madam
ba
Chair.
gagawin yan? Parang hindi siya masyadong practical. Alam nga naman pumunta ng mag-isa ang batang maliit.
Yes, Madam Chair. If the committee would allow us to provide a more comprehensive position paper as to this question, Madam Chair.
Let's go direct and save some time. Provide us some language because right now, obviously, the Yogyakarta Principle is not a law. Hence,
Yes,
it's a
Madam
mere
Chair.
declaration and does not actually define the criminal acts that will be covered and punished by this law that we intend to pass. So, it's very, very important that we be more specific. Otherwise, it will really become dead letter law. You've also indicated that the social protection program should be made available to everyone.
Yes,
I think
Madam
that's
Chair.
reasonable. That's probably understood, but you're right. Let's include it na rin. Sa Committee on Women, you encourage a substitute bill. I'm not certain. What does this mean? Meron kasi dito, sabi, sa Committee on Women to adopt a substitute bill as reference bill. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Ito ba yung SOGI?
We need to check on it, Madam Chair.
Oo,
Apologize.
this is your position paper, this is not mine. What are
yes,
you
Madam
referring
Chair.
to? I'm not certain.
We're not entirely certain, Madam Chair, if this is the position paper
If you're
that we have.
not, I even have less of an idea. So
This may have been submitted as to a previous version.
in any case, the point is that I have no jurisdiction over the Committee on Women, although it's
Yes, Madam Chair.
easy enough to speak to my colleague, Senator Risa Ontiveros, but I'm not certain what you refer to. Sige, you wanted to adopt special penal laws criminalizing hate crimes, gender-based harassments in the street and public places, advocate for a healthy environment free from discrimination and stigmatization. You want a special penal law against hate crimes. Is that correct? So, hiwalay pa to?
Sorry. We want to make some clarifications. I think we need to clarify with the committee as to the position paper that's being referred to right now.
You submitted it. The Commission on Human Rights submitted it to us. We're in receipt. And I'm going, I went through it quite carefully, so I'm perplexed that you seem unaware of its contents. Perhaps at this juncture, we can call on the PNP. Are there any laws that you use to enforce punishment or arrest of those accused of hate crimes? Meron bang definition ng hate crime na ginagamit ng PNP ngayon?
Good afternoon po, ma'am. I'm not
Palibasa nabanggit na rin yung hate crime. Anong ginagamit natin sa pang-aape, pang-aabuso, lahat ng sinasabing harassment at iba pa. Hindi ba ordinary harassment, intimidation, di ba ganun yung, anong ginagamit natin? Pananakot, pagmumura, threat, coercion, yung ganon? May bullying tayo din. Oo. So yun ang ginagamit natin. Pero walang explicit na batas na tinutukoy ang hate crime. 'Di ba? Sa ngayon
Yes,
wala.
ma'am.
Tama naman yung Commission on Human Rights, wala pa yung hate crime.
Yes, ma'am.
Oo. Although I think there's room for such. Pero siguro hiwalay tong hate crime, ano? Hindi ko alam kung hiwalay. Hiwalay ba dapat to o bahagi nito? Yung mga abogado na pulis natin, ano sa tingin po ninyo? Narito rin si Asek Benitez, if you'd like to bolt in from the ILG. Right now, I don't think we have a specific law on hate crimes. It may or may not be adequately addressed in this bill. So I'm wondering, anong recommendation po ninyo?
Well, humbly, Madam Chair, it is my position that we should include hate crimes within the coverage of this legislative proposal.
Oo, tama. Might as well, ano? Kasi
Yes,
may
Madam
listahan
Chair.
na tayo ng acts to be criminalized, may listahan na rin ng parusa. Might as well, isama na rin yung hate crime.
Yes, Madam Chair.
So if DILG and PNP could help us, together with CHR, come to a definition of hate crimes. Palibhasa, may listahan na nga yung ating mga bills. Meron naman silang listahan ng mga bawal, no? Bawal na ginagawa. Andito to. At siguro kinakailangan ayusin na rin natin yung definition para maliwanag. So, iba-ibang section to sa iba't ibang bill, pero may listahan talaga. Acts of discrimination ang tawag, ano? Pero they might as well be called hate crimes, which is what we understand them to be. So, the acts of discrimination can be the hate crimes to which we're referring to. Okay. Can everyone here present in the room help me with the definition already recognized in other jurisdictions and perhaps in international agreements? I think hate crimes have become more and more vicious, more and more widespread. So it's important that we finally punish them here in our own country. Is there anything more from CHR? I understand you'd like to submit yet another position paper, is that correct?
Yes, Madam Chair. From our checking, this may have been the position paper that's being read right now might have been submitted for the SOCI Equality Bill.
For the?
For the SOCI Equality Bill, I believe the position paper that was actually submitted for the SOCI Equality Bill. So we would like to...
I doubt,
Yes.
well, I have no idea. You'll have to look
Apologies,
up your
Madam Chair.
correspondence yourself. Yeah.
Yes,
This
Madam
isn't
Chair.
the SOGI bill. This
We
is the
understand.
Universal Anti-Discrimination Bill.
Yes,
so
Madam
just
Chair.
to clarify. Yes, okay. So I will await, therefore, a position paper
Yes,
from
Madam
CHR
Chair.
that's square on the Universal
Madam Chair.
Anti-Discrimination Bill and not in reference to the SOGI bill, which is not being undertaken by this committee, but by the Committee on Women. So, PCW, you also expressed support for this bill. Is there anyone from PCW who'd like
Madam
to say
Chair.
something?
Yes.
Po. Yes. Yes, Ms.
We
Anwar.
previously submitted a position paper.
That's right, yeah.
But I think the Senate Bill 1300 was not included in that. So we would like to request if we could still submit to include po yung sa with yung sa 1300.
1300 is?
Yung filed po by Senator Hercito.
Yeah. But in fact, I think Senator Poe's and my bill are more wide-ranging.
Yes, yes,
actually.
madam.
Sakop na
we-
namin yung kay JV sa
Opo.
totoo lang.
We recommended in our previous submission that the bill filed by the chair and Senator, no, I think
Okay.
be
Thank you.
used as the working document.
Salamat. Okay, we also recognize the representative of DepEd, Attorney Maher Usman. Okay, thank you. I think perhaps we'd like to hear from TESDA, given that TESDA actually submitted a position paper. Asa na kayo? Ayun yun na.
Madam Chair.
Okay, sabi mo you have no objection and would enjoin the membership in
Yes.
the technical working group.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. At this juncture, do you have any special training programs for PWD and otherwise challenged groups?
Okay. Madam Chair, basically po for TESDA, the accessibility of the training program for all type of clients. So we call them the special client, or most of the time po they are the marginalized. So basically, ma'am, the access to the diverse client type po, we ensure
I'm
that po.
confused. By marginalized, you mean poor? Or do you mean those discriminated against as referred to in the bill?
Ma'am, basically po for the special clients po ang tawag po namin, ma'am, sa TESDA po. To ensure po access for the different type of clients po, regardless po of their
Yun nga,
age,
can you
race,
explain to us, because
ethnicity.
it's the first time I hear such a thing as a special client.
Um,
Sounds like a VIP shopping service, but I doubt it.
Apo. Actually, ma'am, it's similar to the description po of those in the marginalized po for the special clients
Sorry,
po.
I've never seen a marginalized definition.
We have here po, we refer that members of the marginalized sector based on, you are right
The
po, ma'am.
general understanding is poverty.
Yes, ma'am, yes po, for the
That's right.
marginalized.
These aren't the groups we refer to in this bill.
Yes, ma'am, but basically po, ma'am.
Hindi, ang pinag-uusapan dito, those discriminated against because of gender, etc.,
Apo.
etc. Walang sinasabi income bracket.
Okay po, ma'am. But ma'am, in the previous last year possession po, we recognize po that we support the bills po for this one, regardless nga po of
Yes, you
the
already
age
said that.
is. Yes, ma'am.
You already said that. We're on to the next question. I'm in receipt, so I've read it. My question is, meron ba kayong mga programa para sa mga sektor na tinutukoy nitong batas na to?
For example po, ma'am, since
It's either yes or no. It's really very simple. It's
Opo.
not that complicated, Director.
yes, ma'am, opo, we recognize po yung, for example po, for women, yes, ma'am, meron po kaming
Yes, I know you have gender-sensitive training curriculum, but it's only gender-sensitive. It's not gender-directed. Is there anything specific for PWD? Is what I was asking earlier.
Okay. Ma'am, not directly specifically po.
They should be part of the special concerns, hindi
Yes,
ba?
ma'am.
Perhaps you could tell us what TESDA does for groups that are in fact the usual targets for discrimination and harassment. Yun, racial, indigenous, mga pang-IP, wala kayo?
Hangga't maaari po, ma'am, they are welcome po to access any type po of program that we have po in TESDA. So open po sa kanila,
No,
ma'am.
I understand it's open to everyone. Ang question ko, may special ba?
direct,
Kasi
opo.
meron kayong special client. Gusto ko malaman kung sino-sino yung special na client na yan. Hindi PWD, ang PWD hindi special. Ang IP hindi special. Sino pa hindi special? Muslim hindi special?
Ma'am, in the definition po sa amin po, ma'am, the special clients po refer to target beneficiaries includes po the farmers, fishermen, workers, migrant workers, indigenous people po.
Oh, IP.
Opo.
Sabi mo hindi. Andyan pala.
Opo, kasama po, ma'am. Cultural communities, persons with disabilities, senior citizen, victims of calamities and
Sige, you know what you
disasters.
can do? Never mind the definition.
Apo.
Give me a list na lang of yung mga programs na talagang tinutumbok ang IP, ang PWD.
Po, we'll submit
Kasi wala
to
pa
the
akong nakikita.
Sige po, ma'am. We'll submit to
Alam
the
ko,
committee.
open access kayo, pero talagang wala, promise. Matagal ko na hinahanap eh. Malalim ang hugot ko dyan, dami naming IP sa Ilocos eh. Okay. Andito naman tayo ngayon sa educational group at palibasa narito yung CHED. Asan na ba yung CHED? Po. Yes, Miss Balanag. Kanina, yung tinatanong natin sa CHED at yung educational group, we will ask Attorney Usman also from DepEd. Okay ba yung suggestion? Kasi may suggestion na i-review yung learning materials, yung mga libro, at tignan kung may elemento ng diskriminasyon, ano? Kasi alam natin kung minsan may natitirang mga bagay-bagay na hindi nararapat. Siyempre yung historical material, alam nga naman baguhin pa natin.
Yes,
Is
Madam
there an
Chair.
effort or can there be an effort from CHED to really review educational textbooks, reference materials, and other materials being used in the educational sector. Pwede po ba yun?
Yes, Madam Chair. In fact, in the Commission on Higher Education, we have a technical panel for gender and women's studies, and we are about to come up with our curriculum for the Masters in Women's Studies, and not only that, Madam Chair, we also have in the curriculum for BS Criminology, as well as Bachelor of Science in Industrial Security Management, human rights and anti-discrimination are integrated into the curriculum of the programs of higher education institutions. So we are very much in support, Madam Chair, of these proposals, and we will whatever that is needed on the part of the Commission in terms of writing later on the implementing rules and regulations for this. We will participate. We will be involved, Madam Chair. But and as to your question, Madam Chair, on if the Commission on Higher Education takes a look at the curriculum, yes, Madam Chair, we do it through our Office of Policy Standards and Guidelines. We review the technical panel for technical panels, and the technical committees review the different programs, the curriculum of the different programs, and if there is a need to integrate more subject matter as legislated by Congress, then we follow that, Madam Chair.
Yes, we're also aware that the SUCs operate as individual and autonomous institutions.
Yes,
There have been on occasion complaints. Is there a grievance mechanism for redress in the event that a sector or an individual feels is being discriminated against? Paano ang proseso?
Yes,
Saan sila magrereklamo kung ginagamit ng SUC o ganun magsalita yung teacher o professor? Anong gagawin ng kabataan, ng mag-aaral?
Yes, Madam Chair. Under our CHED Memorandum Order Number 1, Series of 2015, that is institutionalizing and mainstreaming gender and development in CHED and in higher education institutions, there is a provision there, Madam Chair, which addresses grievances. So, dapat Madam Chair, lahat ng mga SUCs may CODI sila. They are mandated to establish, institutionalize their CODIs, Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Balanag, kasi sa kasamaang palad, masama ang karanasan namin sa Ilocos dyan. May presidente kami noon na talagang patong-patong ang aligasyon ng sexual harassment.
Okay.
Kaya't wala kami nagawa. Hindi matanggal-tanggal dun nung panahon na yon. So, nagbago na ba ang sistema ng CHED? Hindi talaga masuspende, hindi matanggal, hindi mapaltan yung presidente. Parang kung andyan siya, habang buhay o habang termino, wala kang magawa.
Madam Chair, did the board act on it? If it's because it should be the board.
Two members of the board participated in the harassment.
Oh, I
Of
see.
several children. There were 27 cases.
And I am so sorry to hear that, Madam Chair. But let me also ask the regional director.
Hindi, ang tinatanong ko, kasi tapos na yun, no?
Opo.
Ilang taon na nakalipas. Ang problema, kung mangyari ulit, ganun pa rin ba? Wala kang magawa?
There should the board, Madam Chair, should really.
Aling board? Board ng eskwelahan?
Yes po, opo.
Kasama nga sila dun eh.
That's very unfortunate, Madam Chair. But definitely, the Commission on the leadership of the
Wala rin
Commission.
kami magawa. Sabi ng CHED, walang magawa kasi may term sila, yun na yun.
Ganun ba?
Naghugas kamay po yung CHED.
Ganun ba, ma?
Hindi,
Pero usually,
I'd just like to hear from CHED na nagbago na yun. Na may grievance mechanism, may redress, may remedy,
Yeah.
yung magrereklamo.
dapat, Madam Chair, kasi institutionalized na dapat yung CODI and mandated ang CODI. Nasa batas naman po yun.
Maybe you could provide it in writing to this committee.
Okay,
Yes,
yes,
exactly
yes,
the
we will.
procedure to be undertaken by a victim, so that
Okay.
we can also understand the procedure
Yes.
better
Yes.
and appreciate that things have improved over the years. Thank you,
Yes.
Ms. Balana.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Attorney Usman, may request dito sa CHR na yung DepEd, in deference to the Yogyakarta Principle 32, or Section 5A in the Senate bill, should undertake, together with the Commission on Human Rights, I assume, a review of educational textbooks and reference material. I read in the newspaper that your department is undergoing all sorts of review over curriculum, reference materials, textbooks, and so on. Is this something that the department could undertake?
Hello, good afternoon, Madam Chair. But before anything else, there may have been some confusion, but I'm not an attorney. But thank you for that, Madam Chair, and to our other colleagues from the different agencies.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay
The staff, I think, just rushed
But it's okay po, Madam
a
Chair.
sign
Opo.
over
So, I just want to reiterate po, no? So, one of the mainstreaming efforts
Recording
of
in
the department, Madam Chair, is to ensure that all our learning materials and or resources are gender sensitive through meticulous reviews and validation. And actually, Madam Chair, there is an ongoing project between the Department of Education, like you said po, Commission on Higher Education, Technical Education and Skills Development Authority or TESDA, and the Philippine Commission on Women on ensuring integration of gender perspectives in the development of curricula and educational materials, as well as the creation of the technical working group po that aims to strengthen collaboration po and partnerships between and among key implementing agencies in the education sector in pursuing gender equality, women's empowerment, and robust implementation of GAD-related activities po. And with that po, Madam Chair, we are also, yes po, want also to partner to other agency if they want to incorporate other suggestion. We are open for that, Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Usman.
Yes.
And with that, let's call on the PCW. Is that correct? PCW. Nabanggit kasi ninyo, no? Yung, yes, we already asked you to have a word. So apparently you're already undertaking this collaboration with the educational agencies. Is that
Yes,
correct?
Chair.
Oh, that's great. So good. Civil Service, in the meantime, supports this bill. They have no representative today. Nevertheless, they manifest a reservation, making the head of agency liable for failure to act or refusal to act. They suggest that if it's a juridical party who's alleged, it should be imposed upon the responsible officer of the juridical entity. I think we need to work this out. I understand their concern and the issue of joint and severable and the work-related and non-work-related. There's also a suggestion from the Civil Service that the NHCP should also be enjoined to participate in the review. Kasama ba yung kuan, yung NHCP sa inyo, Mr. Usman, Ms. San Juan, dito sa review na ginagawa sa mga textbook at materyales, kasama ba yung NHCP? Kasi we're reminded by the Civil Service Commission na dapat kasama sila kasi mas kabisado nila yung historical and cultural context of discrimination.
I think, Madam Chair, as of this moment po, parang hindi pa po siya kasama, but if they are willing po to coordinate with us together with the PCW, TESDA, and CHED, that's okay with us po.
Yes, that's great. So they're not yet included in the TWG and the other collaborative efforts, ano?
Yes, yes po.
I think it's very important that we do get historical context. The word, for example, moral, has evolved over time from being denigrating and insulting term to one that they bear with pride. I think the word igorot is also undergoing the same issue, that previously it was almost an insult. Today it's again born with pride. So the changes and nuances over time have to be taken into consideration. Tama naman yung civil service po. Meron rin ditong tax incentive na sinasabi yung civil service at narito yung BIR. Kanina narinig ko na yung BIR arito. Asa na ba yun? Dito yata yung BIR, hindi po.
Yes, Madam Chair. I'm here.
Okay, yeah. Attorney Orculio, oo. Suki na kita. Ilang beses ka na dito. Attorney Orculio, may sinasuggest ng ibang bill na magkaroon ng tax incentive. Pero hindi naman pwede magbigay ng tax incentive na hindi maliwanag, di po ba?
Yes, Madam Chair. We suggest po na the incentive be specified po, not just in the wording po of the bills. It said that the BIR develop, prescribe, and administer incentives. But we cannot do that po pursuant to the Constitution. It must come clearly from the Congress and the Senate po.
Yes, that's correct. Of course, it's a legislative prerogative and cannot be delegated
Yes,
to
ma'am.
least of all the BIR. Total, kapag tax incentive, alam na namin ang sagot ng BIR, hindi kayo
Yes, ma'am.
papayag.
Yes po. Yes, ma'am. So we request po
Kaya
that.
hindi kayo ang tamang
Yes,
grupo na magbigay ng incentive.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It will be a conflict of interest po for our part.
Ayan naman.
Yes po.
Forever foregone revenue. Iisa yung sagot. Ayan. Okay,
Thank you po.
NYC po, supports the bill, recommends the provisions of Senator Poe and Senator Marcos to occupy most of the contents to harmonize. Yes, we can use them as the mother bill since they're the most copious and wide-ranging. Any other comments for National Youth Commission? Do you have, James, any added insight into youth harassment, for example?
Yes, Madam Chair. Firstly, we really commend including age as one of the protected attributes in the bills. In cases for redress mechanisms involving complainant minors, Madam Chair, it would also be, we recommend to recognize also minors to self-report. Because it provides here that they can be represented by parents, while it does not prohibit the minor from reporting the incident himself. It might also be enlightening or clarificatory to provide that the minor can report the incident by himself.
Right, which brings me back to the issue with CHR na medyo naguguluhan ako kanina. Kasi nga yung medical and physical and mental exam cannot be compelled on a child when in fact they're usually under parental tutelage. Kaya nga naguguluhan ako doon eh. Yung sa Jakarta principle na sinasabi ninyo na hindi pwedeng pilitin, that's exactly the issue that NYC is bringing up again here. Minors to self-report, but they always go to the doctor with parents or an elder person, isn't that correct? So how do we work this out? How are minors to self-report? What is the idea of the NYC?
Yes, Madam Chair, maybe to certain instances, for example, if the discrimination or harassment happens in the school, then if there are mechanisms in place, then the minor youth could take advantage of the redress mechanism himself without requiring the parent to join him or her in reporting the incident, for example.
Nako, James, yung eskwela mo ang tinutukoy ko na nangharas ng 27 dalagita. Ewan, paano kaya to? Okay. Minors to self-report. I think this is something we need to work on, including the intrusive medical, mental exam that is required. I'd like to ask the police, the redress mechanisms are indicated also in the bills, and the police officers handling the desk should undergo training on human rights, sensitization, on violent and abuse on the grounds referred to in the Act. Alam na natin na kulang yung women's desk, ano? Tapos ito, dadagdag natin to. Ano kaya ang dapat gawin? Are there any recommendations on the part of the PNP, Colonel Magsino, General Orig, and the others? Ano ang magandang gawin dito? Alam na natin na hirap na yung women's desk, ano? Kasi hindi naman sila karamihan.
Ma'am, I am from the training directorate and we conduct all mandatory and specialized training. And in our training action plan yearly, we always we include the investigations relating to the violence against women in all our police regional offices. Now, as to how we strengthen the WCPC, I think, ma'am, we have here DPRM, perhaps because they handle the recruitment and the personnel. Or as far as the variance, if we need to strengthen the women police desk in our police stations.
Sure.
But as to the training, ma'am, we always offer yearly trainings on
Yes.
related to handling BOSI cases.
The reason is, in this committee, in almost every hearing, there's reference to the police and another sector that's abused. So the other day, meron ng women. Pagkatapos niyan, di ba, may women's desk tayo. Tapos meron children. Idadagdag, women and children. Nung isang araw, yung elderly naman. Kasi lumalaganap ang elderly abuse. Tapos ngayon, dinadagdag natin, napakarami nito. So, saan to pupunta? Women's desk rin ba to? Kapag
Yes,
pag
ma'am.
gender-related at saka minors.
Yes, ma'am.
At saka elderly, pag age
Yes, ma'am.
determined.
Yes, ma'am. So we have established women and children protection desk in all police stations.
So, kompleto na
PNPY.
siya. They're
Yes,
all
ma'am.
over. But how many, on the average, how many police officers are actually involved in the women's desk? Yung typical lang, wag yung malaki.
In the police station, ma'am, we only have, I think, one section chief for the WCPC
Kaya nga
and one assistant chief.
Pero sa dami ng batas na nagpaparusa ng ganitong uri ng krimen, talagang kukulangin pag-iisa, di ba? I think it'll be inadequate. I mean, we're now dumping everything on you. Women, children, elderly. Now we also have gender-related, other crimes, social class, all these other issues, no? Ethnicity, race, religion, etc. Hindi na women's desk yun.
Ma'am, perhaps we can refer it to our Directorate for Plans in relation to the proposed bill. Baka
Right.
pwede po nilang i-include doon po.
Because there's an ever-widening scope of sectors, no? So, okay. For the lawyers in the room, if you would like to add any comments regarding penalties, this has to do with the responsibility in the event that the accused is a juridical person. If it's an agency, government, or non-government, there's an indication in some of the bills that an accessory penalty of the cancellation of the certificate of registration or the license to operate will be imposed. Isn't this confiscatory to your mind? Shouldn't we impose the penalty on the responsible officer or officers, not on the entire corporate entity? Tama ba yun? I'm a little bit concerned that this is bordering on confiscatory. Asek Benitez, any thoughts? Just instinctively, di ba? Parang mali eh.
Yes, ma'am. Just an academic observation, Madam Chair. I think this will collide with the basic constitutional injunction on due process.
That's correct.
It is my humble observation that it is confiscatory because the liability here basically cascades on the individual members of the board.
Yes.
So it is my humble suggestion probably that we should ferret out the liability on the basis of one's participation or commission, whether it is overt or covert, Madam Chair.
Yes, I have my doubts about that as well, and you expressed them very succinctly. Also, with regard to a number of bills,
Recording in progress.
which makes the head of agency or government official or employee liable for failure or refusal to act, such that the omission is deemed as prima facie sanctioning the discriminatory act. Isn't this also unconstitutional? It runs against the presumption of regularity in the performance of public duty. Hindi po ba? Ewan ko, kinakabahan ako sa ganito eh. Yes, Asik Benitez po. Any other lawyers would like to weigh in?
I also, Madam Chair, with your permission, it is also my humble observation that basically a collision between constitutional protection here might be committed. Now, especially in the light of several rulings of the Supreme Court, like for example, the doctrine in the Arias case, Now, which basically shield the head of the agency from violations or transgressions committed by
Yes,
subordinate
but with all due
officers.
respect to the Supreme Court and the ASEC,
No,
they've
yes.
flip-flopped on areas a couple of times now.
Yes, Your Honor, I also do understand that. And also, a finding of the CHR on a prima facie capacity for me is not conclusive.
Yep.
Because a prima facie finding can still be overcome, Madam Chair. And if it will behoove a government head now to act on the basis of that prima facie determination, for me, somehow could translate into a possible legal compromise, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Probably the committee or a technical working group can still study
Yes.
this particular part of the measure, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I thought I had to bring that to light to the resource persons because I had deep and abiding doubts about that provision. Okay, the Child Protection Network 2 months ago announced that 646 reported cases of violence against children, 216 cases violence against women in just 2 months. 1 month. Is there updated data, perhaps from the PNP? If not available now, if you could submit an update for the past year, 2 years. What about crimes committed against a person? Are there numbers for those committed against a person due to their color, economic status, ethnicity, medical condition, physical disability, political opinion or affiliation, race, religious belief? Is there data on this sort of crime of discrimination?
Ma'am, we will refer it to our Directorate for Investigation and Detective Management, ma'am.
Kasi
Data.
humihingi po kami. Wala talaga kaming mahanap na data para lang, parang ma-concretize itong bill na to. Gaano ba kalaganap itong pangyayaring to?
Yes.
Eto, crimes lang to ha. Hindi pa yung discrimination sa eskwelahan, sa trabaho. Wala pa yun ha. Ito pang-krimen na lang talaga. Yes, there's a real shortage. There's a paucity of data talaga eh. Kasi nagtatanong ako, baka sa kapulisan meron kayo some kind of record. Kasi itong NGO, itong international NGO, Child Protection Network Foundation, sa kabataan lang. So yung race, religion, ethnicity, language, etc., hindi sakop nito, no? So, would the NGOs have any kind of data? Ang pantay, stop discrimination, galang, etc. Baka naman meron kayong mga data kung gaano kadalas, gaano kalaganap itong mga pangyayaring diskriminasyon. Yes, Mr. Gonzalez.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. In Pantay, we have preliminary data from reported cases of discrimination based on gender in schools. But again, it's difficult to gather data because a lot of them go unreported.
Tama.
The victims are afraid to report because, again, as you've mentioned, sometimes the schools don't act on these cases of discrimination. But we do have preliminary data which we would be willing to submit to the committee.
Right. If you could share any material so it would make our case stronger in the light of concrete numbers, no? Sana kung meron tayong datos. Kasi nahihirapan ako maghanap. Sa totoo lang, kailangan ko yung tulong ninyo. There's also a Global Gender Gap Index report by the World Economic Forum, which says that the Philippines is very high ranking in the gender parity and gender gaps. So we're ranked number 16 in 146 countries, making us the highest ranked Asian country. So we're actually higher, according to the World Economic Forum, in terms of gender equity. We're higher than countries like Spain and Switzerland, which really come as a surprise. Na, on the other hand, in the area of economic participation and opportunity, women's income is lower than 71%. So I'm a little bit perplexed by this data. Also, in another indicator, yung participation in the labor force, ang baba-baba natin, we're almost at the bottom, 115. So 115 out of 146, that's not very good. So, any comments, any findings perhaps from our academics and NGOs? Ano yung realidad?
NCDA is raising her hand.
Yes, yes.
Good afternoon,
Jane
Madam
Cristobal.
Chair. Yes
Opo.
po. Ma'am, ang problema po kasi para naging chicken and egg, humihingi kami dati pa ng anti-discrimination bill para nga yung isang provision kasi dito is yung preventive mechanism to urge then the government agencies to include data disaggregated provisions gaya ng disability, age, LGBTIQ.
Yeah, pareho reklamo natin. Talagang walang makakuha
Ang sinabi
datos.
kasi daw po dati ng NEDA, sinabi po sa akin na kailangan po ng millions to add questions and additional millions to train even for at least 4 questions. And ang sagot lang naman po namin, may millions naman tayo kasi hindi pwedeng hintayin natin na kailan pa nagkaroon ng pera kasi kailangan talaga namin ng data. Ang sinasabi naman din po na
Kasi natatawa ko World Economic Forum na to. Pero pag dinis-aggregate mo ang kanilang basehan, 4 kasi to di ba? May economic, education, health, political. Bakit tayo ang taas-taas? 16. Pero pag tinignan mo yung economic, ang baba-baba. So, kami bang nagpataas nito, yung political? Nagdududa tuloy ako
So yun ma'am, ang sa amin po, kahit sa PNP din po, kaya nagkaroon ng ng e-blotter, doon pa lang din po natatanong yung ano yung age, ano yung disability.
That's
so
right.
nagiging intersectional na rin po, kaya din po yung kailangan talaga yung need for the comprehensive anti-discrimination.
Mahirap nga i-disaggregate sa NEDA yan problema namin din yan, miski sa probinsya, lahat naka-region. So, pag syudad ka o probinsya, di mo alam kung aling bahagi ng region ka. Kasi isang pangkalahatang numero ang binibigay. I think Attorney Rhea Ramos of NCDA wanted to bolt in. Yes,
Hi.
please.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. With regard to your earlier query pertaining to data specific to crimes or discrimination against persons with disability, actually we have data coming from PNP which we included in our state report to the UN last year. So according to the data from the PNP, from 2018 to 2020, there were 574 cases of violence involving victim survivors who are women with disabilities aged 18 and
In how
above.
many years? Just 500? Parang hindi naman ako maniniwala niya.
Yung sa sinubmit po sa amin is 2018 to 2020, Madam Chair. And
2 taon? 500 cases lang?
well, that's the data we received po.
Parang katatawa na naman yan. Hindi ako maniniwala.
And then, Madam Chair, aside
Sa
from
amin lang
that,
kulang na yan.
and then so that's for those above 18 and above. And then for young girls, ang data po na sinubmit nila sa amin ay 259 young girls with disabilities po, Your Honor. Again, for 2018 to 2020.
Right. Please share the report with us, but the numbers are so meager as to be astounding. I think that hardly touches the surface, ano?
We will share po, Your Honor.
Yes, if you have any updated numbers, because your last year is 2020, from 2018, that's 4 years ago, matagal-tagal na rin.
Yes po, but this was submitted last year to the UN. So when we asked the different agencies for the data for that report, the data submitted to us was 2018 to 2020, Your Honor. But we will check again with them for something more updated.
Parang hindi siya nagko-collate. Dito, violence about sa children lang to at saka women. In the period of 1 month alone, 216 against women, 646 against children. That's only from January to February of 2024. Paano nangyari na 500 lamang sa loob ng 2 taon?
Siguro po, Your Honor, nabanggit na rin po kanina yung kakulangan sa disaggregated
Yun na nga
data. Kaya
Pero
konti
hindi
po yung
disaggregated,
nalumulutang.
miski total, hindi ka panipaniwala.
Yes po, Your Honor.
Yeah. So whoever has data, if you can submit, would be really grateful from the different sectors. Those who haven't had anything to say yet, Attorney Bernardo and Jason, Napoleon, and Apo Mijares and the rest. If you'd like to add anything to the discussion, I have session at 3 o'clock, so I have to enjoin you to keep your words as limited and as short as possible. If you could
Madam
make your
Chair.
statements concise, please. Attorney
Yes.
Bernardo, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Actually, Rainbow Rights will just focus on what sectors are included, and so far the discussion has been leaning towards the usage of the as reference bills for Senate Bill 108 and 1264 authored by the Chair and Senator Grace Poe, so we're very happy with that. What we want to respectfully remind the committee is that in our past experience, and I think I will speak for the stakeholders for LGBT persons, at the last stages or at the final stages, the community is removed from the enumeration. So we just hope that we will not be left behind this time.
Why are you removed? There's gender.
Usually it's in the House of Representatives.
But in every version, may gender siya.
Yeah, Your Honor, I think in 2021, we had that hearing because in the House of Representatives, at the final version that passed, removed SOGI from the comprehensive anti-discrimination
Is that
bills.
because SOGI passed in the lower house?
No, Your Honor.
Di ba napasa yung SOGI noon?
That's in 2016, I believe, Your Honor. 2018, Your Honor. In 2021...
And when was it deleted? Baka naman...
Yes, ma'am, in 2021,
baka
Your
naman
Honor.
baka naman yung patakaran nila kasi meron ng sariling standalone SOGI. Hindi na kailangan nilagay sa Universal Anti-Discrimination.
Perhaps, Your Honor.
Kasi duplication na siya.
Perhaps, Your Honor.
I don't know. I can't second guess the House.
So that our suggestion is to use Senate Bill 108 and 1264
I think it's
as
no
reference
secret that we have trouble passing the
Yes.
SOGI bill in the Senate. And I felt, at least in this committee, that perhaps this was at least a start in the right direction, even if it wasn't all encompassing and everything that we had in mind.
Yes, Your Honor.
But at least it was a beginning. And that's the reason we came up with the Universal Anti-Discrimination Bill.
Recording in progress.
Madam Chair, some brief comments on the discussion on hate crime. The SOGI Quality Bill provides special aggravating circumstance. Yes, that's a start for a hate crime wording, Your Honor. And also for the issue on minors.
Yun nga, yung kay Senator Padilla, may aggravating circumstances, yung relationship, close and intimate family contacts, and then meron rin siyang subsequent commissions na entail, of course, higher penalties. So parang we have a basis to start with that. And
Your Honor, for the issue on...
what other special aggravating circumstances aside from positions of trust and confidence and family?
The wording, Your Honor, that was used in the previous versions, if special aggravating circumstance, if any criminal or administrative offense not falling under this act is committed and proven to be motivated by bias, prejudice, or hate based on the personal circumstances, foregoing personal circumstances. For example, said offense shall be aggravated and the corresponding penalty provided thereto shall be imposed in its maximum. So that's the usual, Your Honor, usual
criminal
hate crime
formulation.
provision in anti-discrimination bills, Your Honor.
Well, let's have a look at it again.
Yes, Your Honor.
As we all know, we're also bound by our penal code history and context. Sige, Mr. Jason Sibug.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
From Tuklas.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
You'd like to add something?
Yes. First, we would like to commend Senator Amy Marcos and Senator Jingo Estrada, Senator Robin Padilla, and Senator Joel Villanueva for initiating these bills to end discrimination against us Indigenous peoples. But we will go directly to the point on penal provisions, Madam Chair. We also call for the recognition and inclusion of our traditional customary practices in settling disputes arising from the discrimination based on specifically on one's ethnicity or ethno-linguistic background, which shall complement to our established legal mechanisms. We believe that integrating these practices...
I'm not certain how much of that we can include, but we can certainly mention it.
Yes.
Baka this is not the right venue for including the whole effort to promote vanishing cultures and the IP. But certainly, an appreciation and acknowledgement of traditional culture is in order.
Yes, there are cases in IP communities, Madam Chair, that some teachers, individuals discriminating certain communities or IP individuals, and the communities resolve it through their traditional practices when there are when discrimination is being committed by other communities.
The community settles it through traditional
Justice system.
Can you explain that to me? What traditional justice systems, for example?
Like for us in Manobo, we have Pobian Woy Gantangan. When there are individuals who are committing discrimination against us.
Yes, but the traditional justice system would only refer to the IPs themselves.
Yes.
Kung tagalabas, hindi naman susunod yun sa traditional system at hindi nakakaintindi.
Yes, that's actually the problem of meron silang parang pwede silang makalayo kung hindi gusto nila, na kung ayaw nilang irespeto ang mga pamamaraan ng mga katutuwa.
Yes, I'm not certain how we're going to apply that, but perhaps that can be relayed in some way. Let's have a look. In the settlement of disputes, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Or in the grievance mechanism, something like that?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. Then, Mr. Paris, you want to say something? Or okay na kayo dyan?
Good afternoon po, Madam Chair. Yeah, just to add po dun sa sinabi ni Sir Jason, regarding po sa grievance mechanism or the legal redress of the victims, kasi based on experience, most of the discriminatory acts against us, indigenous peoples, this is actually in general, which there's the victimless incident. So there's a clarification here po, Madam Chair, kung paano po yung redress ng victim. Would it be by the whole community itself, or for example, the discrimination is directed towards us, the whole Igorots. So it's good in Baguio because, Madam Chair, the IPMR, or there's this certain indigenous people's mandatory representative who initiates the resolution in the LGU to pass resolution.
Isn't that the usual practice? The IPMR is the one who stands up and represents the tribe.
Yes, Madam Chair. So there are examples like
I think what's encompassed in the bill is probably, in all the bills, is probably crimes against individual persons, ano? Parang yung victimless incidents na sinasabi mo, is that you're referring to the historical injustice against IPs and other communities? Is that the
yes,
right
Madam Chair.
understanding?
Yes, most probably because there are certain indigenous peoples group, like for example, or collective, like the Igorots in general, or even the sub-tribes or subgroups. So if it's directed against one particular indigenous people's
that's
group.
Right. I think the most common occurrence would be just simple ethnic slurs used in common conversation.
Yes.
Would that be correct?
Yes, po, Madam Chair. So
Yeah, the usual
just to
ethnic
add,
slurs, di ba, that, well, many of us Ilocanos are very guilty about in reference to the Igorots.
yes, po.
Even if they're all over the place and we live and work with them daily. So it's a shocking occurrence. But I think this sort of thing, I'm not certain if it's encompassed by the bill. Let's try and think how we can incorporate it.
Yes,
I'm not
po.
really sure. I'm aware of what you're talking about, and we all decry the historical injustice against the original Filipino people, which are the IPs. And yet, the definition and the adequate punishment and redress is not entirely clear until now.
Yes, because to my mind, Madam Chair, if this could be, it sends a chilling effect towards those outsiders who might commit this discriminatory acts, especially towards us, indigenous peoples, that there is this, penal provision that they might be
this is
going to jail.
Sure, it's a big deal. Oo.
Yes po.
Kasi paparusahan ka, makukulong ka, taas-taas ng mga
Yes po.
fine.
But
Kung hindi sila covered, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yan.
yes, but usually
so, I'm
po,
wondering, aside from the IPMR, whose job this is, yung NCIP wala rito, no? Oh, andyan pala yung NCIP.
Yes
Is there
po.
any
With due respect
law
po
that
sa
already
NCIP.
covers victimless incidents, ethnic slurs, and other crimes against an indigenous community?
Yes, Madam
As
Chair.
a community and not as mere individuals.
Good afternoon po, Madam Chair. Ma'am, Madam Chair, it was included in our position for the bills that regarding the acts of discriminations against indigenous cultural communities be considered and be filed before the NCIP since we also have the jurisdiction.
When did you give your position paper?
We earlier submitted the
Ngayon
position.
lang. So today lang. So I'll have a look at it. Hindi ko pa nakikita eh.
Previously, Madam Chair, we already submitted our position
Is that so?
on the bills, Madam Chair. And
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not in receipt. I don't seem to have anything from NCIP. Secretary, please.
anyway,
Yes, Secretary Beth, please. May binigay pala yung NCIP, wala namang inabot sa akin.
previously, ma'am, we already submitted our position and comments on the bills, Senate bills po, ma'am.
Okay.
However po, Madam Chair, we can always submit another copy of our position on the Senate bills under
Yes.
consideration po.
Wala raw natanggap ang committee.
Okay, Madam
You may
Chair.
have given it to another committee.
We'll check on that, Madam Chair, and we'll
Kasi
resubmit
may
na
iba
lang po.
pang committee. Dati kong committee kasi yung cultural communities. Baka napunta ron.
Okay
O
po,
kaya
Madam
dun sa women's committee.
We will just check, Madam Chair, or we will resubmit na lang po another copy of the position for the NCIP po.
Kasi yung committee ko labo-labo eh.
Yes.
Lahat ng social justice narito. Kaya medyo...
And Madam Chair,
Yes.
if we may we be allowed to also manifest additional recommendation on the inclusion of the acts of discrimination po that
What would you like to add? So, let's just settle the matter of crimes against communities. It's already the NCIP
Covered it
sa
po.
position pala
Yes,
na isama na yon. So, we're in good shape. I think, Mr. Paris, that will be encompassed. So,
Yes.
kasama na pala yon in their version. So, perhaps we can include that based on their recommendations as well.
Yes po,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Okay,
So,
thank you po,
moving
Madam Chair.
Oo, okay. At least sakop na pala yon sa
yes
inyo.
po, Madam Chair.
Alright, Director Apaling, ano pa nga yung...
Yes, Madam Chair, if in the acts of discrimination, this will be included po, denial or non-recognition of cultural identity, and it shall be unlawful for a person or a group to refuse to acknowledge or value the cultural practices, tradition, and heritage. This denial can be explicit through actions or policies, or implicit through messages and downplay its existence to or render it non-existent
Yes,
po.
you don't think this is already covered by denial of cultural rights and denial of right to expression?
If the
diba-
cultural identity be included on that also, Madam Chair.
Cultural rights is certainly part of...
Yeah, the
certainly
identity of-
encompasses identity, di ba?
It can be naman po, Madam Chair, but it would
Maybe
be
we
best
just-
if we could have also be explicitly provided in the bill the identity, cultural identity po,
Yeah,
Madam
we
Chair.
can just add it kasi paulit-ulit na siya eh. Diba? May cultural rights, may right to expression.
Alright
Siguro
po.
include na natin and identity.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Sige.
Thank you so much po, Madam
All
Chair.
right, that's well taken. Please resubmit because
Yes
I
po,
don't
Madam
seem
Chair.
to have it and the secretary says she's not in receipt either.
Yes, Madam Chair. We will do that po, Madam
Sige,
Chair. Thank you po,
salamat.
Madam
If you
Chair.
have a copy there, abutin mo na lang. Okay. Okay. Sige, any one of you would like to add anything or are we almost here? Professor Batad.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. The Gender Law and Policy Program of the UP College of Law and the Law Center strongly supports the passage of the Comprehensive Anti-Discrimination, particularly Senate Bills numbers 108 and 1264 for being comprehensive in its scope. But of course, we also have our substantial concerns, and we urge the Honorable Senate to consider the following concerns. Number one, inclusion of the SOGI-SC as a protective attribute and prohibits discrimination of all forms on the basis thereof, because like what Attorney LJ mentioned earlier, there was really an effort to remove SOGI-SC even in the comprehensive anti-discrimination in the House. And so we want to make sure that...
Yes, I'm not certain exactly what happened there.
Yes,
but
yeah.
Perhaps it had to do with the fact that they passed SOGI as a standalone individual bill.
Yes, although of course at that time they would say that we don't need SOGI equality bill because it's already in CADB, in the comprehensive, and then when we attend hearings,
Wala naman
they
doon.
would say, we don't need it here because there is SOGI equality. That's why before they were saying, saan nyo kami ilalagay?
I'm so sorry,
Yes.
I don't
Recording
really,
in progress.
I don't really know what occurred in the House. All I
But-
know is that we've had successive losses in attempting to pass the SOGI bill here in the Senate.
Okay, but in any case, here are some of our highlights. The inclusion of a separate enumeration of all the terms in sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, and sex characteristics. So there has to be a definition on that. As well,
Why do you want to separate provision?
Because
Kasi
it-
kapag ganyan, lahat separate na yan. IP at iba pa.
because
And then the religious sectors, ang ating mga Muslim na kapatid, lahat-lahat magkakaroon ng hiwa-hiwalay na definition.
Yeah, because, Madam Chair, it is very important because when we talk about SOGI-SC, it can encompasses sexual orientation. And we have to understand what do we mean exactly by sexual orientation or even gender identity, because that is where discrimination is happening. And so it has to be very
I
clear
understand,
as to these terms.
Let's just be reminded that sometimes over-definition
Yes, of course.
can be confining and limiting.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay, also the inclusion of the exclusion rather of the phrase existence of employee-employer relationship in the definition of employee for a more liberal definition that will allow protection of the law to encompass more workers. Because in labor
Actually,
jurisprudence...
I just passed an ILO resolution, and the term used now is the world of work.
Well, yes, Your Honor.
Perhaps that should be adopted. The world of work will then cover trainees, casuals, even students, and so on in the profession. Baka mas okay tayo pag world of work kasi
Yes,
yun ang ginagamit na ngayon
yes,
ng
Your
ILO.
Honor. Yes,
Sige.
and that would include also the informal...
Lahat ng informal.
Yes,
Kasi
Your
alam
Honor.
naman natin, 42% ng Pilipinas walang listahan, walang kontrata,
Yes.
at walang papel. Ano?
Okay. Also, the inclusion of provisions to address the instances of indirect discrimination by outlining every possible form of discrimination to fully realize the state's effort to promote substantive gender equality, Your Honor.
We have a catch-all provision. What do you mean by indirect discrimination?
Because it's also possible, Your Honor, that because if it's direct, that's on its face, we see it
Sure,
immediately. But if it's indirect, it could also come from, say, other characteristics, but at the end of the day, they are actually going against, for example, members of the LGBTQI. So if they will come up with certain, for example, certain...
We'll have to define it as you
yes.
understand. Otherwise, the police can't enforce it. We'll all be bereft of any basis. Ano yung indirect po?
Indirect discrimination, Your Honor, for example, when it comes to work And so they would say that, of course, for employment, we want that if it's female, then they have to wear, for example, this type of uniform, and that may not conform to their gender identity. And in the proposed amendments in the
Magulo yan,
bill,
pati yung pagsuot ng hijab, papasukan natin yan. Medyo magulo na yan. Yung
Yes,
uniform at saka yung pagsuot kung requisites ng trabaho.
well, those are just some of the examples, but there are items there, Your Honor, in the proposed bill.
Yes,
that
okay.
we did.
I think it's well taken with the caution lang na
Yes.
kapag masyadong detalyado, hindi na tayo matatapos.
Yes, Your Honor.
At saka, pag nakita ng mga legislator, pagkarami-raming provision, ang mangyayari niyan, mas maraming objection. Wala nang katapusan.
Yes,
Kaya
Your
kung
Honor.
minsan, hinahayaan na lang natin na isantabi muna yung mga detalye at iiwan para sa IRR, which are easier to amend over time.
That's right, Your Honor. That's
Sige.
why we also have a definition for indirect discrimination, actually.
Okay.
And the expansion of the term profiling that sufficiently accounts for discriminatory acts that may be committed not only by law enforcement, but also by private persons in connection with investigatory activities, recording and analyzing a person's psychological and behavioral characteristics to make generalizations about a person's
Professor, that's a
protected
mouthful.
attributes.
That's a mouthful. I don't think we need to have all that for the definition of profiling. Isn't it commonly understood?
Well, actually, Your Honor, there is already a definition, but we just want to tweak it. That's why we have a proposed amendments here, specific proposed amendments.
It's very, very long po.
Yes, but we're just giving the highlights. We are prepared to present our proposed formulation of our proposed amendments as we did in the 18th Congress.
Does the PNP use a definition of profiling? Sa ngayon, meron ba kayong profiling definition?
Wala.
Parang wala. Pero kasi, it's very much a foreign practice, ano? Meron ba tayong definition ng profiling na ginagamit sa law enforcement?
I'm not sure, ma'am, if our Directorate for Intelligence using that term,
Parang
profiling.
wala eh.
Yes, ma'am.
Oo. It's very much a foreign phenomenon, but yes, okay. And I think in Mindanao you will encounter quite a few complaints. Yes, Professor Batad, is that all?
A few more, Your Honor.
Yeah,
The
I'm very short of time.
Yes,
po.
just the introduction of taking as one of the prohibited acts,
What?
the inclusion of the...
Sorry, what did you say?
Just an introduction of pertinent amendments to the prohibited acts.
Sure, we can
Number
look at that.
one is on taking retaliatory measures against persons who report commission of the prohibited acts of discrimination. And number two, recognizing the act of providing goods or services on onerous or less favorable terms and conditions. And we also stated that in our proposed amendments. We
Recording in
submitted it
progress.
yesterday and today also, Your Honor. Yesterday through
Parang
email.
wag natin receipt. Is this the same committee? Because this
Yes.
Committee on Social Justice, it's not women, it's not
It's
cultural.
not. Yes, we submitted it in this
bakit
committee.
wala tayong natanggap? Nandiyan ba? Oh. Kailan mo natanggap? Kahapon. It wasn't forwarded to me. No, I never got it. In any case, we have it. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you very much.
we're remiss, sorry.
But also the adoption of the standard of deeply held fundamental religious convictions as held in Estrada versus Escritor in the general exemption provisions of section of the Senate Bill 108 and 1264 to provide an ascertainable standard of proof that the exception is being invoked to accommodate only legitimate religious doctrines, dogma, or beliefs distinguished from purely subjective beliefs which are impelled by personal bias. Yes. Yes, Your Honor. And we're going to submit. I see. Okay, thank you very much, Madam Chair. And we are willing to give our comprehensive and detailed proposed amendments, particularly to Senate Bills 108. Yes, of course. Yes. Yes, but we will give, it's just the same, we will give our proposed amendments to Senate bills, particularly Senate Bills 108 and 1264, which we particularly support. And we will also give the rationale for our proposed amendments.
That's helpful. Sorry. Yes, what was it? So thank you very much, Professor Batad. I think everyone's had a chance to talk, or Ms. Tangente. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to rush.
Madam Chair may be recognized.
Who's that?
From the National Commission Muslim Filipinos.
National Commission
on Muslim Filipinos, NCMF.
Muslim Filipinos.
Yes.
Oh, kanina ka pa, di ba? Okay, I'm sorry about that. Yes.
It's all right. On behalf of our Secretary, Sheikh Sabuddin Abu Rahim, who is presently performing equally important function in Malaysia, Madam Chair, I'm Attorney Manding, and my great regrets, we have yet to submit our position paper.
No problem, no problem.
But we will be submitting as soon as possible.
Thank you.
I would like to second your recommendation earlier, Madam Chair, to increase the penalty of those who repeatedly commit any of the violative prohibitory acts of this bill, so people will take it in the future seriously.
Yes, we already accepted the amendment or the provision provided by subsequent offenses from Senator Robin Hood Padilla.
Yes. Madam Chair, we would like to propose the inclusion in Senate Bill 233, the Anti-Discrimination Act introduced by our brother Senator Robin Padilla, under Section 5, which pertains to the enumeration of the prohibited acts.
Yes.
Discrimination in education and training, whereby discrimination by preventing or refusing the students to perform acts of worship, such as performing prayer and wearing hijab within school campuses. There has been incidents recently in northern Mindanao and in Iligan City, where some students, nursing students, were actually prohibited to wear hijab in their uniforms.
Yes,
as well as
this is really a problem.
Yes.
I understand the issue of hijab. We know that in France it's prohibited, and there have been many issues with the completion of rakat. So we're fully aware of that.
Thank you,
Thank you. We'll
Madam Chair.
await your submission.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes, I have to round this.
Short lang, Madam Chair. Good afternoon. I represent a coalition of youth organizations and youth leaders. And I'd just like to, Pantay would like to express his support for Senate Bills 108 and 1264 for being very comprehensive, specifically for LGBTQI youth. And LGBTQI youth experience high amounts of discrimination in schools and training institutions. It's just very underreported, Madam Chair. And we'd like to take this opportunity to thank the committee and to thank the Honorable Chair for proposing these bills. And we'd like to, again, express our support for this Congress to make equality your legacy, this Congress. And as members of the youth, we'd like to see a future where equality is promoted in the Philippines. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. And please help us. With that, I'd like to constitute a TWG. Let's have a technical working group and let's bring on board all those concerned. I think we have to have the Human Rights Commission. I'm sure many of the groups here would like to be represented. So we have the Human Rights Commission, the PNP to help us with the enforcement. We probably need someone from the other groups. Let me think. The Muslim group, the NCIP. I think you need to be there. I think from DSWD, there's someone in charge of the PWD. Kung pwede, sumama na rin. So, kasali na rin kayo. And then, from the group of the education sector, CHED, TESDA, and DepEd, perhaps you can send a single representative or come from time to time But if you can submit as soon as possible your recommendations vis-a-vis the comments of the CHR. The NGOs, maybe you can choose a representative. Ging Cristobal, would a lawyer please join? I really would like to have a lawyer so that you can help us with the language. Yes, Professor Batad, but
Can we at least join because we represent Law Center and the College of Law, and it's part of our mandate to contribute in the law reform.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, of course you can
As
join.
academe also, lawyer and academe.
Yes, but we're in the process of figuring out the NGOs.
Okay.
So they are considered stakeholders, and we always invite them first. Yes.
I hope you can still accommodate one, Senator Amy, for the Indigenous Peoples IPO.
At saka si Attorney Bernardo. But most of all, if anyone would like to submit any kind of opinion or suggestion or recommendation, I'm always open. Even without the TWG, even outside of the TWG. So we should meet as soon as possible. We don't have very many working days, let me tell you. It's almost the end of term for all of us. We have to do this very quickly. So once again, I'd enjoin you to keep it simple, direct, straightforward, and entirely enforceable. We tend to overwrite our laws and very few are implemented properly as a result. Director sa Tumba, wala pa kami narinig sa DOLE. Samantalang yung discrimination in the workplace is oftentimes prevalent.
Yes, Madam Chair, would like to express our support for the passage of these bills, no, and we will submit po our position paper, and we express our intentions also join the TWG.
Salamat. Okay, thank you very much. And Asik Benitez, maybe you can help us with legal formulation. You and I have doubts about the constitutionality of certain provisions. Let's review them so that we conform to our country's highest ideals. Okay, so to all of you, sana maipasa na natin to sa wakas, sa haba ng panahon, sa tagal ng iniintay natin sa ngalan ng lahat ng mga kabataan, katandaan, iba't ibang sektor na inaapi at hindi binibigyan ng pagkakataon, talagang tungkulin natin na ipasa na ito sa lalong madaling panahon. So let's not try to put everything in. While we are comprehensive, this bill will not be the answer for all our sectors, sadly. But it's a step in the right direction and I think we should start the journey now. Maraming salamat sa lahat ng lumahok at yes, I said so. We hereby constitute a technical working group, the members of which I've already appointed. I think the NYC belongs here. The education sector is free to appoint a single representative or more if they wish, and Muslim women, and CIP, of course, the stakeholders, UP, and the other groups, kung sino. Kaya lang wag tayo masyadong marami pag sobrang dami, walang natatapos. Siyempre yung PNP, para maintindihan natin kung sino talaga mag-i-implement nito, dahil sila ang talagang mag-e-enforce, ano? Ganon din ang ating DOLE at ganon din ang ating grupo sa CHR. So thank you very much. Maraming salamat. I look forward to No, I know. And I look forward to seeing what kind of draft we can come up with. I'm very, very hopeful we can pass it. Wag lang natin patagalin masyado. Maraming salamat. Thank you. I have to go to session.